Okay, hello and welcome. This is a Minecraft introductory video for beginners, instructing those of you who don't know what to do yet, those of you who can read the instructions but maybe don't fully understand everything you're being told, or those of you who don't want to take the time to learn how to get started on Minecraft. Keep in mind that I'm new myself, but this is some of the stuff that I've learned. The first thing that you want to do is purchase the game. Go to Nintendo eShop. Do a search for Minecraft, and this is the one you want right here on the bottom. For about $30, you'll get that. There are additional DLC contents which will raise your price up from $30, but for $30 you get the initial game. Some families this may be $30 per child if you all have your own consoles. So it's either expensive or not, depending on how you want to pay for it. Go to Play Game. Hit the tab that says Create. All of these modes that are here, these are pre-generated worlds that the game will make all on its own. If you want to get started brand new, hit Create New World. The first thing you want to do is go up to the top and name your world. Next we have the different modes. Survival is a mode where you can't do any building until you've gathered your materials. Monsters will be dangerously coming after you. Your character will have a health and hunger bar which will deplete as you progress through the day, and you'll have to keep both of those filled to keep going, and you'll have to hunt for food. Similar to this mode is a mode that is not available until after you've started the game and saved a file. That's called Adventure Mode. Adventure Mode is sort of the same thing, except it requires you to have tools in order to break blocks. Creative Mode lets you do anything you want freely. It gives you every piece of the game with a few exceptions. It lets you have all of the powers with no worry for health or food, and no worry that the creatures are going to attack you or destroy your progress. So you get to build freely. On Peaceful Mode, monsters will not spawn into your world at all and will definitely not be an issue. On any level from easy on up, monsters will spawn, but as long as you're in creative mode, they won't attack you. Next you have texture packs. These determine what the colors of your world will be like, as well as what paintings are available when you throw the paintings into your world. It also affects things like the textures of the skins of the animals. These are all things that you get through your DLC when you install it, but you can preview them if you don't have them downloaded. It's good to go into the world and test out these texture packs and get a feel for what you like and what you don't like. Or you can always go into your world and change the texture pack later. This is a feature that can be changed on and off as you play through the game. You are not stuck in one particular setting. Online game can be checked on or off depending on whether you want to play with other friends or not. Under the More Options menu, we have some important things to discuss. The seed for your world is a generator of worlds that have been created by the game. These seeds are a series of codes and letters that you can only discover if you look them up, or if when creating you get a really good world and you want to write down the number that world had. When generate structures is checked, the world will generate automatically pre-formed villages, buildings, and other things onto the world. The bonus chest is a little chest that sits at the game's spawn point to give players extra items if you so wish other friends of yours or yourself to have those extra items. Super Flat World. We'll be exploring this one later, but if left unchecked, your world will spawn with all kinds of large hills, wide oceans, rivers, trees, all sorts of structures upon it. It will include all of the biomes in a mix of multiple biomes, and it will have all kinds of deep cave systems. When checked, however, we will get to hit this rectangle here to customize it. If you hit A while over one of these layers, you can edit a layer, or add a layer, or delete a layer. This will allow you to choose what layers you want your world to have. You can also come down here to the bottom and adjust how high the layer is or how deep it is. It's important to have deeper layers if you want your world to have caves and little underground areas. So don't forget to adjust this setting. You can also change or add layers if you don't want to be building on grass. Let's say you want a snow world or a desert world or a water world or something like that. Whatever the layers you choose are what your entire world will spawn as. If you want to learn more about these layers, you have biomes. Clicking these will determine how your world acts, even if you change the surface layers to something else. If you want, say, cats running around your world, you use jungle. Even if you're not using the jungle tiles, the world should act more like a jungle with this selected. And that applies to all of these different types of ground. Once you have your biome selected, you have properties. The one that's automatically checked is village, and that puts in villagers. Then you have abandoned mine shafts, strongholds, biome specifics, which is various structures that are specific to the biome that you checked, ocean monument, which is something new that came in after our recent update, dungeons, decorations, that's trees and so forth, lakes, which will look like a whole series of little dots all over your world unless you change their spacing and so forth. Lava lakes, which is the same as regular lakes, only with lava. All of these little decoration details give you less work to do and help your world look more natural. But if you want to do an art world, you might want to leave the area completely flat and have all this stuff checked out to give yourself more room to build. Once you have all that stuff checked off, here's a few more specifics to consider, such as trust players. This allows you to decide whether or not players can build as soon as they enter your game. If you have this turned on, you won't be able to really moderate a whole lot as a host. If you have it turned off, you'll get to decide when your players do things like place blocks. Fire spreads allows the world to have the fire spread automatically. I also turn this off to prevent my buildings from being destroyed. TNT explodes can help you or hurt you depending on what you're doing in the game. If you want to blow up large chunks of your world for faster building because you want to dig a huge freaking hole, then have TNT on. If you want to keep your world intact, then have it off. These three settings can be turned on or off from your host moderating tool menu by pressing the minus button. There are additional menus to consider. Online game determines whether or not you can play online with other friends. Allow friends and friends of friends, when checked on, allows everybody on the internet to come to your game as long as they're friends with somebody else who's also on. Turning it off allows you to have just your friends. Player versus player allows other people to beat each other up as you play the game. I like to turn it off so that people don't bug me while I'm building. Host privileges has to be on for our next set of things to be active. Daylight cycle allows the world to go from day to night. I like to turn it off to keep the game from getting too dark while I see, but I like to turn it on when I'm playing the actual story mode. Same thing with the weather cycle. I don't like it being dark when I'm building, but I do like the changes in weather and daylight when I'm actually playing the adventure or survival mode. Mob spawning. This refers to every living creature, whether it's a harmless sheep or a deadly monster. They will only appear on the world when mob spawning is on. Mob griefing, however, determines whether or not creatures can attack the things that you build. Mob loot, tile drops determine whether or not you can gain resources from destroying creatures and the buildings and the other blocks and so forth. And natural regeneration refers to your character's own health. Some other settings can be adjusted when you're in the game or when you're not in the game. Once you start a game, some of these settings can only be adjusted from this menu before you start your game. All you have to do is press the minus button, the select button, to bring up the host menu. You go into it and you select from a variety of options. While playing as the host, you'll also notice a bunch of friends online with you. If you click on your friend's name, you can moderate their physical abilities, turning on or off their ability to open doors, open chests, and place blocks. You can also switch them in or out of creative mode to prevent them from flying. This can be handy if you're trying to keep your friends online, but you don't want them running around destroying your world and causing mischief, as many people tend to do. You also have a menu that pops up when you hit the plus button. In future videos, I'll go over other lessons like building and so forth. Thank you for watching and good night.